Welcome to your Deluxe Astro Report. This is the Peace Dealer, and I hope you gain the utmost of quality from this report. I do see that you have your rising in Scorpio. You have a very okay, let me rephrase that. You possess an extremely strong personality. Your moon is in Pisces, so your soul is divinely magical, and your sun is in Taurus, which anchors this deeply psychological and metaphysical water energy and allows you to harness the strength of your physical body through your spirit. And it's also important to remember that Taurus is the boss. This is why you're able to just drop bread on this reading, because you got it like that. And I do appreciate Taurus. I think Taurus as an energy, especially as a zodiac sign, is perhaps one of the most underestimated, underrated, and slept on zodiac signs of all time. I'm biased because my son's in Gemini, so like Taurus is my 12th house, and I can be blind to sometimes how, like, what's the word? Valuable. Well, actually, no one can doubt the value of Taurus, but like I can just kind of miss sometimes, like how amazing you are. But wisdom, maturity, and growing older has taught me to, of course, appreciate the Taurus vibration a whole lot. And as I grow older, I know I will enjoy more and more the Taurus vibration. So, yeah. The first thing I'd really like to start off with this reading is actually highlighting your Mercury position, which is definitely supreme. Mainly because of the quincunx and square. Well, not quincunx, light trine and quincunx to Neptune and Pluto, respectively. So, the 29-degree nature of your Mercury, I want to really just address, because a whole lot of this has been recently activated with these current transits and the entrance of Uranus into Taurus, which is very near your sun. I'm actually really glad you got this report, because a lot of energy is activating through you and for the collective. That 29-degree aspect of Mercury bestows upon a mastery of power that is expressed with your very word. So the reason why I want to address this is because this actually makes you a master of communication. And I say that with full confidence because I also possess a 29-degree Mercury. So I'm very passionate about Mercury, because I'm a Gemini, and also because it defines my chart in a way. And seeing it in Aries so close to Venus really highlights one of the most powerful parts of your chart. And given that it's so close to your sun in Taurus, we're going to actually get into how the raw potential energy that you kinetically express with the cardinal sign action of Aries, you're able to immediately convert with your Taurus sun. Because we can't forget that Taurus is the manifester. Like, y'all make it real. You're the producers. And because once again, Uranus is actually in your sign, this takes this conversion process and will really allow you to automate. Think of Uranus as automation as well as manifestation, or automation and innovation, or innovation through automation of manifestation. And you want to think, and it's dope because you're born 84. Oh my God, I forgot. Okay. You have Pluto, 0 degree Scorpio. So I'm also going to talk about why this is amazing. So yeah, you want to think that this innovation that is automating the process of your manifestation is so legit, because it's effectively, especially being born 84, going to take everything that constituted how you used to make a living and work and now literally automate it. So the first thing I want to say is congratulations. The success and power that you grinded, led, and worked hard for is getting ready to pay off so crucially. I mean, okay, that's a misleading because it's already paid off, but it's getting ready to pay off at the next level so crucially that its establishment and presence in your 7th house is going to reflect this in the unconventional quality of relationships that you will continue to manifest. Because as a Scorpio rising, you are here to establish value for other people. You're not just the sun in Taurus. You're the sun in Taurus that knows how to expertly, psychologically analyze anyone you're talking to. That's why Scorpio rising on its own is one of the best rising signs, because you never know who you're talking to when you're talking to a Scorpio rising. This isn't an Aries rising that's going to be so candid and expressive with a personality. There's always something behind the Scorpio rising. There's always, it's not so much a motive, but there's always depth of purity that you're going to be expressing. So let me tell you why this is even better. The ruler of your chart is Pluto. Pluto is in Scorpio at 0 degrees, which is 30 Libra. So this is enabling you literal X-ray vision. And now I actually have to attach alien constructs because you were born an instrument of Pluto and Saturn, which is a huge deal. Your Saturn rising allows you to confront the dark side and win, because the integrity, okay, and it's amazing. You could change pain and misery into laughter through cynicism. As a Capricorn moon, I'm very self-depreciating with my humor, and it can make some people think that like I don't love myself, but I it's the opposite. Like I just like self, but like once again, like as a Scorpio rising, the integrity of Saturn is going to be utilized to judge the purity of people's characters, and that strength is going to allow you to take your Taurus sun and manifest the strength needed to deal with anybody that's out of integrity supernaturally as well, because Scorpio doesn't play. Like the potency of Scorpio you have as a Plutonian instrument too, performing psychic surgery, scanning the astral realm, reading Akashic records, clear and destroy negativity, sensing negativity. Like if you wanted to, because if I'm not mistaken, you got the God of War. Oh my God, you have the God of War retrograde as well. So like you could literally focus the depth of that Scorpio energy. And like if you got really, really, really mad, someone could like drop dead. And we're going to talk about how a lot of that has to do with the potency of your Aries Mars. Like when you say things, the power of it induces an effect. Not even necessarily like an immutable way, but just off the sheer power of your expression. And in this Aries energy, sometimes, you know, it's kind of like if you were to yell at the top of your lungs, the light bulb could like flicker, something like that. So I want to kind of backtrack and really establish the integrity of your personality. This isn't Uranus rising. This isn't a Neptune rising. Uranus risings are geniuses and Neptune risings are divine, but they're also very misleading and deceptive. When we see a Saturn rising, that's a clear indicator that you have integrity, because it's not as simple as, okay, this person has integrity because they have Saturn, because Saturn could be very cruel. The reason why is when you have direct Saturn contacts, you can't not have integrity, because whereas other people can get away with stuff, Saturn is right there. So you're going to get the penalty for it instantly. So you've always had this weight on your chest. You've always had this depth. Like you're the person who maybe other people might think you're a buzzkill or you're not as fun, which is not true. You're a very fun individual, but you're the person that's going to do the right thing when it's not cool to do the right thing. Because at the core, your personality, your character is pure. And like studying this for over 8 years, I've learned the sun is the most powerful essence. Every point in astrology, it augments the sun. Every single planet, every single point is an adjective to describe the sun. The moon is very, very, very important for subjective processes and also like your internal world. But the AC is the number one definitive element that totally reveals one's character and allows one to know the motives that go into who someone is. And welcome to the club, my friend. You are a Taurus born in the 80s. You share something in common with Aries born in the 70s. Taurus is born in the 90s as well, and Gemini's born in the 2000s. You're hated for being you. And it's not that you're hated, but you attract a lot of jealousy. You attract a lot of hate. This is unavoidable, and you'll experience it for about the first 30, 35 years of your life, maybe even 40. It's not a bad thing. It's just an inevitable thing. And this is because Pluto is opposite your sun. You're taking the unfiltered, unconscious, pure quality of Pluto, and it's directed towards you. Some people can hate you just for breathing. If people don't hate you, then they are obsessively in love with you, because you have to keep in mind, as a Scorpio rising, this is a mark of royalty. Scorpio risings, Leo risings, Aquarius risings, and Taurus risings, like myself, carry titles. Your AC is your identity. So if it's in a fixed sign, that title is king or queen. Different qualities of kings and queens depending on element, but technically you are Queen Catherine, because the Scorpio rising nature gives you pure royal quality to your personality. That Saturn here is like having CEO or doctor in front of your name. Like it's official. And this is where Mars takes the already psychologically deep strength of your ability to take action and adds definitive strength to this that, I mean, makes you so strong. See, Taurus is physical strength. Scorpio is core strength. You have a high tolerance for pain. And it also allows you to pretty much be unstoppable. Like once you set your mind on something, it's literally only death that can stop you. And I have to highlight, this is a superpower. This is not normal. It's not natural. It is, by its very definition, supernatural. Now I do want to rather correct it. You actually have the Plutonian instrument alien. The power alien was more Freudian slip because it's opposite your sun. So you still harness it, but perhaps through other people. At this point, it's more semantics. And because Uranus is over your sun, you have inherited the Uranian power ability. Okay. Once again, I really do want to establish you are a lot of your essence is tied to your royalty, and I don't mean necessarily royalty that comes from a popular vote or the opinion of the people. I mean your sense of sovereignty that really allows you to also create greater value in others, especially with Chiron here on the North Node. You have such a brilliant destiny, and I can't wait to get into that, because a lot of what you're going to do is to release a lot of people's limiting thinking into getting into how valuable people are. You produce value for other people, and once again, like I started, work like this could be very underestimated until now, where the effect of it is getting ready to exponentially, show itself. But yes, when we take into account the strength of your Scorpio rising energy, this really speaks of not only the strength of your personality, we have to look at its relationship with your Aries energy. Scorpio and Aries, to me, is a very, 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 very incredible quincunx, because you're taking nuclear energy in Scorpio. You want to think of it as, and I can relate with this because my Mars is in Aries. So before I can think about what to do, or before my Capricorn moon can be like, hey, Mike, you shouldn't do that because that's stupid, I already did it. And it kind of sucks sometimes. It's not the worst, sometimes I'm the first to get something because I acted, but your Mars in Scorpio is literally opposite that. You focus deep at your core and you well up deep, pure desire, so that when you take action, it carries the strength of your core. And then compounded on that, you also have Saturn. I cannot emphasize how ridiculously amazing this is. This is supernatural strength. It's the resilience to make it through any obstacle, because now the Mars there, 25 degrees, is already mastered. The strength with Saturn is what's going to add so much fortitude that you can control this, literally. And then Pluto adds that nuclear intensity. Okay. So your ability to harness that at your personality converts with the actions you take in Aries. Aries is already explosive force. So what happens if you really focus and fix that deep strength, and then boom, explosive mastered force in Aries? It makes for a hell of a combination. So once again, the whole notion of you being hated is misleading, because you're not just hated. It's really more so just an obsessive energy that if someone is impure or full of crap, it's going to manifest as hatred. Okay? And then when somebody is not pure, or I'll say that again, when someone is pure, or when someone is impure and they lack integrity, this opposition is going to manifest in deep hatred. Deep hatred. I actually have this. Venus is in Taurus, directly opposite Pluto. And so, like, anytime that I love anytime that I express my love, there's a huge reaction that I get. It's weird. It's almost as if like I'm cursed. And Pluto only feels like a curse because of the intensity. It's one of the biggest blessings, actually, because you have the ability to harness sexual tension at will. But once again, like, it's so intense that there's a dark counter force almost to counter what you're expressing. I mean, I remember I as soon as I was like in second grade, I wrote someone a poem and I got in trouble for it. The person told the teacher, I got made fun of, and I got in trouble for it. There was actually nothing, there was nothing like sexually suggestive in the poem. Like there was nothing like weird, but I got in trouble. And like that, thinking back on it, that's weird as hell. Like, how am I going to get in trouble for doing that? But because I had Pluto opposite it. So it's like, if anyone else were to do it, shoot, if someone had Jupiter there, that person would probably, you know, it'd be something positive. Okay. So you have Saturn and Mars. This represents your own internal struggle with yourself and also mirrored with, you know, other people, especially hidden enemies. And a lot of this is going to have to do with the royal nature. The reason why people are jealous of Leo, Scorpio, Aqua, Taurus, royalty is because you have what other people don't. And especially as a Taurus, you're willing to tell it like it is in ways that you don't care if you offend people because you have integrity and you don't have time for those childish games. Okay. So once again, if people don't have integrity or are pure, they're going to obsessively hate you. Like they're going to project their insecurities on you because it's you just by your presence. That Pluto opposition evokes strong, deep feelings within people. And like you're used to this, but other people won't be used to this like you're used to this. The energy you give off, you've lived with your whole life. So you're not going to see it as heavy. Other people who aren't as strong, it's going to be heavy. It's going to bring up emotions. If these people are impure, all that is really denoting stuff they have to deal with, they're going to make it your fault. Okay. And then people who actually have integrity and purity, they're going to be obsessively in love with you. Okay. And it doesn't have to be romantic too. This is just going to be a very deep, you know, reaction. Okay. So this is just a very, you know, strong effect you have on people. A perfect classic example of this is Chris Brown. Chris Brown has this opposition, and like he is simultaneously one of the most hated men as well as one of the most loved men. Like his fans are obsessed with him. Like people either really, really, really love him or really, really, really hate him, which I think is fascinating. Very, very fascinating. Someone who's actually highly talented, that just because of an aspect like this, you know, things that he does are going to make headlines and be taken way much more extremely than other people who do similar things and they don't even get mentioned. It's oppositions like this that are why. And when you recognize it and see it, it's easy not to take it so seriously. If anything, you start to see it as a testament to your strength. Like, damn. I didn't know I had this much of an effect. I feel like you always knew though. And like the transits you're coming into are so legendary that this is really going to reshape the dynamic and way that you even connect and deal with people, because you're coming into a nodal return. And this once again really just speaks of the genius that goes into how you mapped out your incarnation cycle. I am a very strong believer in the fact that it is the soul that chooses the exact second they are born. This is the genius of incarnation. And if you think of it like that, that means, you know, you at some point in some sense have influence to the actions of your own parents that gave birth to you before you're born. And I want to say this one more time because what I said is super controversial. it goes against a lot of what modern science teaches us, as they want us to believe that certain things just happen randomly. But this is also why they don't want you to believe in astrology, because astrology deads that. Astrology proves without a doubt that predetermined events are not only reality, but you can even map it out. You can look at history and see how things are destined to happen. The fact that things are destined to happen means that at some point you must have mapped it out. And that really just goes into the testament of how amazing you are. Okay. And how profound your influence is. The nature of your own reincarnation or incarnation really gives a lot of insight into the inner wisdom that lends this. And if you really want to get into the inner psyche of who you are or were before you came into this physical manifestation, you always look at the moon sign. You always look at the south node. You have your moon in Pisces and your south node in Sagittarius. So before we get into the high divine magical nature and quality of your soul, which Pisces moon, I think, are some of the hugest deals, we also want to look into the notes. But I do want to establish once again that, as controversial as it may sound, I do believe that an individual decides when they're going to be born, because the archetypal, I'm saying this in a way to make sure it's really established that people are not born with the planets they have in their chart randomly. And that's something I definitely want to establish as an astrologer, down to the degree and second. There's so much mastery regarding this that it's not really just random. People aren't necessarily born like the luck of the draw or lottery. It's a complex sequence of a gajillion decisions that are made to lead up to the next moment. Just like you buying this reading, me doing this reading at this time, everything is all a part of a predestined narrative. Okay? Within this predestined narrative, we have conditional free will to a degree. The same free will a video game character has in a video game. They have the ability to explore their terrain, but they have to go through the level. That's predetermined from the direction of the game. And a lot of that is mapped out by you. This is why we look at the higher self, the MC, which you have second deck in Leo and is very linked with Jupiter, which you ironically have in your third house, trine your sun, providing you the support to take literally supernaturally powerful practical action towards making more powerful the strength of your manifestation ability. And to make sense of that, whenever you have Capricorn trining Taurus, Taurus is the ability to manifest a block of gold. Capricorn trining it is manifesting that block of gold and doing everything with it, selling it, adding value to it. It adds so much power to what you've already manifested through practical action, which only makes you richer or more valuable. So, establishing how genius you are only gives new meaning to the genius of the zodiac Uranus being on your south node of past life. In your past life, you were a creator class entity that provided me. This is like literally creating space. You were able to manifest meaning for others in ways that added to their value. Second house, which correlates to Taurus, which is why in this lifetime, you're destined to take that genius and innovate the process of people coming into the truth so that people see the truth like never before. You introduce unconventional truths with Chiron on the North Node to heal the way people even know what's true. So before we get more into that, because this is like one of the most fascinating parts of your chart, as it is purely supernatural, and to put that in context, North Node in the eighth, okay, eighth house is dealing with other people, because the first house is your identity. And so your self-esteem about your identity is in your value. A lot of people's self-esteem is affected by what they have. So your possessions is your second house. It's how you make money. I have my rising sign opposite you. So because my second house is Gemini, I literally get money for talking. Like, the way I manifest money is to communicate. You paid me so that I can Gemini Sun and tell you the truth. Okay, this is actually important because you have that in the eighth house. So flipping this on its head, you manifest visual innovation, visual phenomena, visual stimuli, whereas I talk, you show people, you manifest meaning. And so the eighth house Gemini cusp as a Scorpio rising is bringing out the truth. Sincerely, you deal with information, which is actually super amazing. So you're able to just bring secrets out of people, but this is kind of covert in a way where the language you speak is able to have people trust you with information. So if the second house is the money you have, we know that the seventh house is other people. And so eighth house opposite to your possessions are other people's possessions that you share with them. This is why the eighth house is the house of trust. Because if I'm going to trust you with my thoughts and my ideas, I have to actually trust you. Thus, we come into intimacy. This is why this is more seen in like married couples or business partners. But it's now, if we take into the fact that your North Node is here, it's actually your destiny to deal with others in ways that heals the truth that you directly show them. And with Uranus here, you show them this in such an unconventional way. It literally deprograms them from the deception that kind of got them to think how they thought. And this doesn't mean that you have to just tell the truth to people or shove it down their throats, but you're going to be dealing with people who need to have this need fulfilled. And once again, we're going to get more into that because it's way deeper than that. But being that you got the deluxe report, anyone who gets the deluxe astrology report, I do a 12 house synopsis where we look into the ruling planets of each house. And so this will really give us a very interesting insight into the significators and rulers of different aspects of your life. So the ruler of your first house, your personality, is Pluto. And this is what makes you a transformer and an awakener. It's actually amazing because you're technically judge, jury, and executioner. If we think of Saturn as the judge and Mars and Pluto as the executioner. And then the jury is you in the seventh house, literally aware of what other people decide. So, being that the significator of then ruler of your chart is in the sign that it's in, it's a really great thing. It really speaks a lot of the strength of character that really allows you to be, how do I say it? Okay. It really allows you to be aware of the depth of your character and others. Pluto is very much so specializes in sensing of negativity, but I also see it as like X-ray vision. Having this instrument quality of Hades, however, is definitely going to focus, because remember, Pluto rules the whole chart. So coming out the 12th is definitely going to really have you focus a lot of your life's events on how this transforms your character and how you're an instrument to transform other people. So think of the opposition to your sun as being able to take that intensity, ground it through your five senses so it doesn't literally kill people, and allow this for, practical change. The ruler of your second house is in your third, which is amazing because the third house is the house of attitude. It's the extension of your possessions and your self-esteem that now in Capricorn is utilized for incredible skill. If fifth house is talent, and creativity, the skill set, language, and attitude of how you extend forth your identity in the first house. Well, the third house is how you express your identity. And in Capricorn, you take that deep, introspective, psychological character that you have in Scorpio, and you express this through your body language in cardinal, powerful action. Even though you have the Aries energy and you're very expressive and you're very raw, you still are able to be led intuitively with Neptune and Jupiter so that the nature of your skill set and attitude is golden. In fact, one of the best aspects in astrology is Jupiter in the third house. Jupiter in the second house too is the money gang. But Jupiter in the third house, I think, is even better because whereas Jupiter in the second, attracts a lot of money, when Jupiter's in the third, your attitude is so golden, you don't even need money. You just attract abundance. You're the person, and then you literally are money because Taurus is money. I don't care what anyone says. Taurus is just so valuable. Like anything Taurus touches turns to gold. So like it's actually quite fascinating. But if we look at Jupiter here in your third, first of all, I have Jupiter in my third house in Cancer. So like the way that I'm so optimistic, it's actually funny. My moon's in Cap, so I'm simultaneously optimistic and cynical. But once again, even though Cancer, Jupiter is in its fall in Capricorn, the quality of I don't really see it as a bad thing. I actually see it as a great thing because it trines your sun. It just really speaks to the quality of organization, control, and structure that you're able to expertly exercise. The way you think is very serious, but also very effective. You're highly competent. But the reason why this is supernatural is now you're taking Neptune retrograde. And this grants you a sense of telepathy through body language so that people's bodies tell you what they really feel despite what people say. And then it trines your Taurus sun. So everything that your body is intuitively guiding your attitude to direct, you literally see it. And then you have Pluto on your rising. So you have X-ray vision. You not only see it in their body language, your Scorpio rising shows you the psychology behind it. So just knowing that, one of the most fascinating things that people do is lie to you because they don't even know. You know they're lying. Like you see it every time. And that's why it's your destiny. Because the North Node Gemini is you showing people the flaws in their logic and just why it's not cool to be a lying ass. Okay. So when we think about the ruler of your third house, all right, we've established that the ruler of your second house is Jupiter. It gives you a very golden attitude that allows you to really see the best in situations in practical ways, not in a feel good optimistic way where it's like, oh well, any day could be better. No, you have this really expert ability to take your losses and to see how it practically benefits you. All right, whether it's good or bad, which is it's actually going to make you even more wealthy than you are now in this life, now that this is being triggered. So the ruler of your third house is in your first house, which means your character and identity is heavily influenced by your attitude. And it's not a coincidence that both Saturn, Uranus, and Jupiter both are at the same degree. This is what I'm saying again, where it's like, none of this is random. Like, you're a seriously amazing individual. To like, having a birth chart is something that should fill anyone with pride, because this is literal scientific proof that you are one of the most amazing people ever. And this is why I do what I do, because this applies to every single person. Every single person is beyond amazing in their own unique way. Okay. And so seeing that you have this amazing array, so perfectly stacked, this really talks about the ease of connection between how you reinforce your own character with your practically golden attitude. Boom. Okay. And Saturn's presence on your rising is definitely going to add more integrity the more you can expand a lot of what you communicate to people, because you provide such practical common sense wisdom. The ruler of your fourth house is on your second house cusp. The nature of Uranus in your second house allows you to manifest value in the most unconventional ways, which is very important because second house Sagittarius isn't about making money. We've already established your money anyway. Second house Sag is what you find valuable is freedom, the freedom to really be anywhere. And you're not really the type of person to work a 9 to 5. Can you work a 9 to 5? Absolutely. And you would actually make it work for you. If anything, if you did, you can innovate that 9 to 5 to where you can break certain rules and it actually ends up being the right thing to do. The thing here is you value freedom, especially freedom of expression and meaning. So you manifest meaning, you manifest freedom, the freedom to really live by your own rules and really control your life. And, water sign risings are kind of misunderstood in this vein, because this society teaches you have to have money, you have to have assets, you have to have possessions. But like water sign rising, like your legacy is to do what you love. So if you're making a lot of money and you have a very stable life, but like you're not doing what you love, you're not going to be or feel successful. And I don't even mean that in a general way, because I think that's very toxic ideology, where people are like, oh, you have to do what you're passionate about, you need to do what you love. That doesn't apply to everybody. There's some people who want to do passionate stuff, but their chart shows that they need to get a 9 to 5. Like they actually need to work their ass off. And everyone's different. You know what I mean? It could clash with that. Just like this clashes with you. If we look at your work houses, that clashes with your earth energy. But that doesn't make it bad. It just makes it challenging. It's imperative. You got your MC in Leo. You're a public figure that's here to inspire us creatively as queen. So like, if what you're doing isn't what you passionately love, you got your 6th house in Aries. So if your day-to-day routine doesn't fill you with excitement, if it doesn't activate your Mercury, Venus, you have to switch it up. You have to make sure that that's established. This is what's going to activate Uranus, and it's going to have you like unconventionally make, so much money. Now, the thing here is with Sagittarius, it might not always be the most stable. Why it is going to be stable is because you're solid. You're Taurus sun. So that's actually going to stabilize it. But on its own, it is highly unstable. You could literally make $100,000 one day and then not make anything for the next 6 months. And then bam, make it $50,000. The reason why it's going to be stable is because your Taurus sun actually, and Scorpio rising with the Saturn here, stabilizes the unstable element of this. Okay. And because it's connected to your 4th house in Aquarius, this actually opens up unconventional housing development, real estate, and it allows you to manifest your value with the depth of cosmic understanding of yourself, which is going to really just be weird to others. This is why Scorpio risings are mysteries. They understand themselves in ways that are literally out of this world. And this is what's going to lend to you to be able to manifest what you do with private and advanced techniques. If we look at the ruler of your 5th house, it's sextile your moon next to the 3rd house, which is actually, I think, one of the coolest parts about your chart. Your moon trines Pluto. So that means not only, okay, I love the Pisces moon, because as a Capricorn moon, that's actually like one of my brother sister moons or soulmate moons. Like we it's like a best friend moon, because it expresses the power of Cap moon. But Neptune, mutually receptive to this. First of all, it trines Pluto. So the Pisces moon is already super magical. It's unstable, but on its own, you're super receptive to every vibe. You literally feel the vibes. And this allows you to delineate and discern, who's fake or not. But with Pluto here, this adds so much intensity to your ability to sense your sensitivity that it really anchors a deeper feel. So Neptune in between two of these points is the practical, intuitive guidance to where if your eyes were closed, you would still be able to walk through an obstacle, because Neptune is going to guide your feelings based off of this real, practical, cardinal focus. And this is what allows you to instantly channel insight about people. That third house aspect with the ruler of your fifth and your third is going to influence greatly your creative ability based on the transcendent and abstract nature of your practical attitude. If we look at the ruler of your sixth house, which is lifestyle, which is behavior and day-to-day routine, also work, right? That's in the first house. And so a lot of your behavior is directly influenced by your personality. And this could kind of clash because Aries here is instinctual and Scorpio is at a deeper level of purity that's not always as instant and quick as Aries. So this can bring some frustration, but it's actually ultimately just masterful. And because your behavior is so heavily influenced by the state of your personality at that time, this is what's going to allow you to augment the exciting nature of your routine and lifestyle with the depth of desire that rules this. Before we go forward, it's important to denote that these houses are very much so jurisdiction. Governors have jurisdiction and power over their respective states. The governor of California does not have any power over what happens in New York. That's the governor of New York's job. So like when a planet rules a house, just like Mars rules your sixth, all the activity in your sixth, Mercury and Venus that are in your sixth house, they have to report to Mars. Okay, let's assume that Mercury and Venus work for your sixth house. And this is a mastery of action. You have this very powerful, bold heart and mind. And it's going to influence the behavior that allows you to take action towards the lifestyle you're creating. But it has to report to the boss of Mars, and it can clash. It's like employees that don't like their boss. It's like, the employees are very arrogant, and sometimes, your Mars could be a bit too deep with things, and whereas your Mercury wants to act now, but it has, until Mars decides, it won't. So, stuff like that you really want to be mindful of, because that could really explain why you feel stuck sometimes. If you feel like you can't trust what's happening, you're not going to act off on it. Whereas your Mercury might be willing to take the risk. Okay, the ruler of your seventh is also in your sixth. So this is really interesting. The ruler of your seventh is in your sixth. So your relationships are going to be heavily influenced by your behavior, which is already the truth because it's next to each other, but even more doubly reinforced because a lot of the bold excitement that constitutes the unconventional quality of your relationships and how you express pleasure is definitely going to convert a lot of that kinetic fire energy into immediate manifestation. And the presence of Venus is definitely going to attract beauty and value to you. Even better because your sun's here. So this only adds more to the power. The ruler of your eighth is also in your sixth. And so this is what allows you to deal with others in very bold ways. If we even take into account the North Nodal presence, it's your mental processing of this that will allow you to really activate Chiron's essence and really use your words to heal others. And that's a fancy way of saying triggering people mercilessly. The ruler of your ninth is in your fifth. And so a lot of your philosophy is influenced by the receptivity of your soul and what you feel around you. And this is actually really dope receptivity because the ninth and fifth house are already linked. So this is definitely going to allow you to really channel the divine in ways that show you the unseen. If we think of Cancer as emotions, and you can't really see emotions or energy, right? I think it's out our visible spectrum. Well, the ninth house is the house of light and sight. And so this is literally, as a Scorpio rising, able to have you discern such. The ruler of your 10th house is in your seventh. So this is like a president, okay? 10th house is career. And the public reputation perception is ruled by the sun in your seventh or next to your seventh. So a whole lot of your career is based off of really being there for other people. Once again, kind of like a president. If this was in the first, you would be more focused on yourself, but you take a lot of your success and you manifest it for others. This also takes the glorious quality of your sun. And what I love about Leo MCs is, compared to other MCs, you're going to get picked out in a crowd. If there was a competition, your name is most likely going to be picked out more. On an energetic level, this actually literally makes you shine more, okay? Which is the dope thing about having fire MCs, as well as, like, cool planets there. The ruler of your 11th is in your 6th. Okay, so seeing the ruler of your 8th and 11th in your 6th really now helps you analyze the nature of where you belong. The 11th house Virgo is our friends who are very analytical. The friends you make in this life are masters, okay? And also very, 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 very analytical, very skilled. And so once again, Mercury mastered here in the 6th house is definitely going to have your friendships influence your behavior and vice versa. And the ruler of your 12th is also in your 6th. So we have a lot of 6th house ruler. And I mean, that's a lot because of the multiple rulership, but it really a lot leads back to your 6th. And we know your 6th leads back to your 1st. So, that ruler of the 12th and your 6th really establishes the power of your behavior to help you release unconscious habits you pick up with others in relationships. So the square that we have with your moon in Pisces splits that receptivity into being able to discern what gets in the way of other people being honest with you. Because Uranus square your moon has the potential to not only be super unstable, but also at some level very challenging. It could really denote an unconventional sway of being very extreme in your feeling to being super enlightened. The good news is it allows you to channel the things you see with deeper magical understanding, and opens up through visualization and imagination hardcore reality warping, so that you can literally change your reality with everything you imagine. But this receptivity will show you reality in ways that not only add to your creativity, but ultimately help you fulfill your destiny. The destiny element and level in your path that will single-handedly transform other people you are with because of the truth you speak. I know a very gorgeous individual who has her North Node in the 8th house in Scorpio. So she also transforms people, but she does so in a way that's more focused on like personal transformation, as far as like with their bodies and working out and eating healthy. And we want to take this quality in Gemini to be more information based. So you're going to be really, enlightening people in ways that really change the way they think forever. And thus you fulfill your 7th house Taurus in that being in a relationship with you is ultimately valuable. You bring you to the table, and we already know you got the Midas touch. So you'd really be a fool to not partner with you. Not you, but anyone would be a fool to not really partner with you in any capacity. And so this is why it's very important to really examine people's opposition to you, because more often than not, anyone who makes an excuse as to why they can't really agree with what you propose or work with you, it's never really a genuine one. That's really what I wanted to map out with this reading. You're clearly amazing. And the strength of integrity in your rising makes you come correct in specific ways. So, it gives you a clear litmus test. All right. People who kind of project back things at you, it's very clear that they're holding some kind of prejudice or jaundiced view, versus people who are very open to you and willing to transform. Then they make it to that 8th house and they'll never be the same. You manifest that pure level of enlightenment for them. As a Leo MC, bearing this royal quality of status, you are here to fix the world. You are here to fix the way the world addresses courage in its addressing of world issues and authority figures. You are here to inspire the world to be more authentic in the way they express their heart and not give in to the false delusions of love. Okay? You stay blessed as always. And until next time, peace.